On a night of a full moon, in the city of Shanghai, vampires led by Kirshner feast on humans in preparation for their grand plan that will lead them to salvation. But they are not alone. They are chased by a group of oddballs who call themselves Jaegers, the lone wolf, Yuliy, the leader and archaeologist, Professor Willard, Hispanic beauty Dorothea, the youngest Philip, and the muscular support, Fallon. But before they could attack, Kirshner flees the mansion, and they are left to kill off all the vampires. Following Kirshner, the Jaegers head to Japan, using V Shipping Company as their cover, and they stay at Naoe's residence, a man indebted to Willard. Naoe lets him know about the two anomalies that have been the news of the capital, the Hyako Party, an anti-government group that murders in the name of reviving the samurai spirit, and an escaped convict, Kuratake, who has been murdering indiscriminately. Meanwhile, in the military HQ of the city, Major Iba, who is suspicious of the Jaegers, is given permission to join the intelligence. Elsewhere, Willard starts looking over the escapee and deduces that he might not be the one responsible for the murders, and that is indeed the case, as the one responsible is Agatha, a vampire. The next night, the Jaegers are alerted of a murder, and the one they find is Agatha, as Yuliy chases her. But just as Yuliy is about to kill her, he is shot by a sniper in the darkness. Luckily, he is saved by Dr. Kisuke Hanada, who allows him to stay at his house while his body heals. Yuliy is scolded by Willard for risking his life, but he argues that the blood of the beast, Sirius, inside him compels him to take revenge. Willard sighs and leaves him with Philip, ordering him to recover. At the doctor's home, he starts getting along with the doctor's daughter, Saki. Meanwhile, Iba, who is investigating the Hyako Party, thinks that a foreign power is backing them up. The next day, the daughter of Naoe, Kyoko, who is interested in Yuliy, sneaks out of her house to meet him, and Willard soon learns from Philip that the doctor is working on making an artificial heart, and he has succeeded. But he's worried as he recalls the vampires are hunting researchers who develop artificial organs, and heads to the doctor's home. But before they could reach them, the vampires led by Agatha swarm the place. Yuliy and Philip try to fend them off, but they are helpless as Agatha manages to bite Hanada the doctor and turn him into a vampire. He tries to bite his own daughter, but Yuliy, filled with regret, slays him in front of his daughter. Outside, Kyoko is in shock as she witnesses this. Yuliy then impales Agatha, but the vampires had already stolen the heart. He tries to follow them, but is stopped by the same vampire who shot him. It's his brother, Mikhail. The confrontation is fruitless as the brother runs off. The traumatized Taki is taken in by her relatives, but Yuliy can't help but think of her as himself when he was little. He reminisces how he lived with his mother and brother in the peaceful village of Dogville. They were called the Sirius and were tasked to protect the Ark of Sirius, an ancient treasure said to hold immaculate power. With his father gone, Mikhail was the one who trained him to hunt, and they lived happily until one day the village got attacked by vampires looking for the Ark of Sirius. His mother and the kinsmen were slain. They are unable to shake off the vampires, thus his brother sacrificed himself to save him, and the one who rescued him from the snow. The man who saved his life that day was Willard. In the present, he spends the day wondering how his brother is alive and why he is a vampire now. Later at night, he walks out still angry, and his Sirius powers activate. Kyoko confronts him about what she saw at the doctor's home, but he asks her to leave him alone, even though she manages to calm him down. Elsewhere, the vampires cut ties with the Hyako Party, as they have the material they need for their weapons. The leader of the group finds this insulting and decides to hunt the vampires and the Alma Company. Meanwhile, Willard, noticing how the Hyako Party is not killing researchers, goes to the Alma Company and learns that they had developed a new weapon for the military, which is going to be tested in Shizuoka under the supervision of Major General Kakizaki. And to check on this, he instructs Yuliy and Dorothea to check on the experiment. But unbeknownst to them, Kyoko follows them. But the experiment is not simple. It is headed by Kirshner, and the weapon eradicates a whole battalion. Iba hears this news and immediately heads to General Kakizaki's train to question and see the weapon. And coincidentally, the Jaegers are on the same train. They soon get the information that the weapon is on the same train as them. Dorothea searches for vampires, but Yuliy is confronted by his brother. In the imperial capital, Naotora leads the Hyako Party on a raid on the Alma Company, looking for Kirshner. He kills the staff and learns about the train their weapon is on, and heads for the train to teach Kirshner a lesson. Meanwhile, Mikhail asks his brother, who is in awe about why he became a Jaeger, and when Yuliy replies that it was for the sake of revenge, he calls him weak before disappearing and warning him that if he appears before him as a Jaeger, they'll be enemies since his orders are to kill the Jaegers on site. Iba meets General Kakizaki and learns about the dangerous weapon on board, but before someone could do anything, the train is attacked by the Hyaku party. Kirshner, who is also on the train, flees after the attack with Mikhail, but leaves his subordinate Klarwain, the inventor of the super weapon, to deal with them. And when the Hyaku party comes in contact with the weapon, their leader is slain by it. Meanwhile, the rest of the Jaegers arrive to rescue the people. Willard makes contact with Iba and makes him realize the existence of vampires to save the people from the berserk weapon. Yuliy intercepts it, but he has a hard time taking on the inhumane being. And just when things look grim for him, his brother appears and takes care of the monster with relative ease. Mikhail also tells Yuliy to finish him off if ever he goes berserk like this. And before disappearing, he tells him that with the Ark of Sirius, he can make the impossible a reality. Later, Kirshner lets everyone know that Yevgraf, the vampire royalty actually looking for the Ark, has ordered him to leave the city since the Ark isn't here, but he wants to take care of Jaegers before leaving. Meanwhile, at the Naue estate, Yuliy is still confused about why his brother mentioned the Ark of Sirius and whether he should consider his brother the same as other vampires. Willard tells him that he can give up on being a Jaeger because he never taught him revenge as a way of living. Meanwhile, Kyoko, who sneaks out of the house, gets scolded by her father, but after he tries to force her to stay home, she disagrees and runs off. Later at night, one of Willard's informants is killed by the vampires, and their safe haven at the Naue estate is in danger. The Jaegers prepare for the vampire assault. Dorothea and Fallon take on the vampires in the dojo. Meanwhile, Philip and Yuliy guard the house on the inside. Kyoko manages to convince her father to stay hidden in the basement until the attack is over. Suddenly, Kirshner appears in front of Yuliy and Philip, and Mikhail comes in from the window. Before the vampire could attack the duo, he hears a loud scream from outside and leaves Mikhail to take care of the Jaegers. Outside, he witnesses the military led by Iba attacking his kind, as Willard has made him aware of the situation. Meanwhile, Mikhail tells Yuliy that their father took the Ark of Sirius away from Doggerville, and now that he is the only Sirius left, he should make use of his powers, and he disappears. Yuliy heads to the roof and finds Willard fighting Kirshner. The vampire tells the young Jaeger something that shakes his very soul. The one who led the vampire to Dogville was none other than his master, Willard, because he was fooled by the vampires. Hearing this, he loses control, and his Sirius powers take over, powering him up enough to kill Kirshner. In a daze, he grabs Willard, who is ready for his life to end, but he doesn't do anything because he thought of the professor as his father for 10 years, and thus the night of blood and tears concludes. The next day, the professor lets the young man know that the Ark is a mysterious box that has all the knowledge to make someone a god, and the power was left for the Sirius. But he soon informs everyone that they have been ordered to return back to London. But Yuliy instead heads to Sakhalin alone the next day, stating to himself that he has found what to do in life. Meanwhile, with Kirshner gone, the threat of the vampire hasn't disappeared because he is merely a pawn of Yevgraf, the one truly after the Ark. Mikhail and Klarwain reunite with him at Sakhalin, but he only seems to care for Mikhail. He takes him through a tunnel to a place where the Ark was created, but the Ark is sealed in there by Mikhail's father. Mikhail tries to get the Ark, but is unable to. Yevgraf decides he'll get his younger brother to break the seal for him. Meanwhile, at Naue residence, Willard orders the rest of the Jaegers to head to a place before reuniting with him. At Sakhalin, Yuliy meets up with another Jaeger, Bishop, who is also there to investigate the Ark. Meanwhile, Kyoko also leaves her residence to head to London and see the world for herself. Back in Sakhalin, Bishop and Yuliy soon reach a forest where they see vampires attacking an old man. Bishop and Yuliy come in time to save the man. Yuliy then faces the vampire royals Tamara and Larissa, who realize that he is Mikhail's younger brother and tease him. He manages to pin Tamara into a corner, but he hesitates after seeing her childlike face, and this gives her the opportunity to escape. The old man thanks the two, but when he learns Yuliy's name, he instantly realizes he is Alexei's son. The man tells them he was a military officer named Mamoru who was on a mission to find the Ark but met Alexei and the people of Sirius, and he got too attached to them. One day, Alexei took away the Ark and moved it here, and he had followed him. Mamoru then refuses to continue talking and tells Yuliy and Bishop to leave. Back in town, Yuliy sees Ryoko and Iba. As they talk, Ryoko reveals she's boarded the wrong train and ended up in Sakhalin, but the mistake seems worthwhile as she met Yuliy. Iba asks them to take him back to Mamoru. He recognizes him as a soldier, and he's on the same mission as him. He tells him that Doggerville has been erased from the map, so the Ark might be the only way to save the world. Meanwhile, Willard leads the rest of the Jaegers to the ruins of Doggerville, looking for something. After learning from Mamoru that his father had sacrificed himself to end the conflict and sealed himself with the box, he ends up heading to a location deep within the mountains to reach where the Ark is sealed. Meanwhile, aboard aboard Yevgraf's ship, Mikhail tries to sneak out to let his brother know, but he's captured. He also learns about the disease that's affecting the vampire, and Yevgraf's goal appears to grasp the Ark to cure his race. In Dogville, Willard manages to find what he's looking for, the counterfeit Ark. He immediately orders the gang to head straight to Sakhalin. On their way to the mountains, Yuliy and Bishop are attacked by Clairwyn and his artificial inhumane beasts, but he falls off the cliff along with them, and the two soon make it to the cave where the Ark is sealed. Yuliy dives right in and sees the memories of his father. In the past, his father had taken the Ark away because he wanted the Sirius to live in peace with humans, although he ended up sacrificing himself. Yuliy encounters the manifestation of his father and tells him that he'll find another way to use the Ark that doesn't include any sacrifice, so he should let him handle Ark. His father does so, thus he has the Ark in his hands. Yevgraf notices the events and forces Mikhail to go and get the Ark for him, and under the vampire's control, Mikhail heads for his brother. Yuliy and Bishop encounter Iba and Kyoko as they are leaving the cave, and just then, Bishop pulls out a gun and holds Kyoko hostage, demanding that Yuliy hand over the Ark to him. But Yuliy tells him that he knows that he's a vampire, but when he saw his eyes, he knew that Bishop also hated vampires. Hearing this, he lets her go. Onwards, the young Jaeger is attacked by Tamara, Larissa, and Mikhail. The Ark is taken from him by Tamara, and he's pinned down by Mikhail. Bishop attacks Larissa and manages to slay her, but he's unable to reach Tamara. Mikhail regains control, and they head outside, where Yevgraf has gotten a hold of the Ark and slain Bishop. He then leaves his vampire subordinates to take care of them as he heads to his ship, but Mikhail and Yuliy both chase after him. Kyoko gives her sword to Yuliy and wishes him the best of luck in the fight. The rest of the Jaegers, led by Willard, soon arrive on a plane and shoot Yevgraf's plane to give them some time to board it. Willard also jumps onto the plane after receiving the info that Yevgraf has the Ark. Meanwhile, Yevgraf swallows the Ark and progresses to become the Ark of the vampires. Mikhail soon reaches him and realizes that it might be too late. Willard lowers the plane and Yuliy manages to get on board. Tamara is happy at first, learning that Yevgraf has the Ark under his control, but she's terrified when he exclaims that he doesn't plan on curing the vampires' sickness, and that he now plans to be the progenitor of a new generation of superior vampires. He tries to bite Tamara to check if she can survive his power, but Yuliy jumps in the middle and saves her. Yevgraf then starts losing his mind and turns into a mindless beast controlled by the Ark's fearsome power. He flies off outside with Mikhail. Meanwhile, Willard hands the counterfeit Ark to Yuliy and tells him that it will likely allow one to control the power of the Ark. Yuliy and Mikhail both take on the mindless beast, but even after they slice off its limbs, they grow back. But Mikhail manages to sacrifice his body and stabs the beast in the eye, taking out the Ark and entrusting it to his brother, telling him to live as his eye turned lifeless. Yevgraf turns to ash as he had failed because of the Ark's powers. The plane crashes and Willard in a daze sees Yuliy, who has taken in the Ark, and he asks his second father to kill him if he loses control someday like Yevgraf before disappearing. The professor wakes up in a hospital a few days later and lets the rest of the Jaegers, Iba and Kyoko, know what had happened. Now Yuliy travels the world with the remnant of the twin vampires, Tamara, to talk to the vampire elders to achieve reconciliation between the vampires, Sirius, and humans, and the world including Jaegers chase him. The end.